Well, good morning from a very cold Harpaw Hill. My first time to set off from a walk from here. Now, this new build housing estate is sitting on top of the site of a former RAF base. And that is significant and relevant to the walk that we'll be doing today. Quite often when I make my videos, I put screenshots of maps, both contemporary maps and older maps. I won't be able to do that quite so much today because a lot of the places that I'm hopefully going to visit on today's walk were never put on maps. A lot of these places were secret. What inspired this walk was the infamous Blue Lagoon Quarry, which I've never visited before. But viewers of the channel can't have failed to notice that quite recently I've started to be quite interested, quite obsessed with quarries, mines and other features of industrial heritage. And I've visited quite a few quarries and done a few quarry explores. Well, the quarry that is the most famous stroke infamous in the Peak District has got to be this one, Harpaw Hill Quarry, otherwise known as the Blue Lagoon. And I'd never been to it, so I thought I'd better do a video on it. And then when I started researching, that's when I found out a lot of other things that I had no idea about connected to this area, and I'll be telling you more about that later on. Look at these views though. Now, in my research, I have watched a number of YouTube videos and I've looked at articles online, and you know, there is stuff out there about these places. But because a lot of the places, a lot of the spots that I want to check out today are not marked on the map for security reasons, I'm going to have a good look around to try and find exactly where these places are. So I've called the Blue Lagoon infamous, and this is the reason why. It may look on a sunny day very enticing due to its colour, but the reason why it's that colour is because of the pollution of the water. And in fact, the Blue Lagoon has a really high pH level, very similar to ammonia and just below bleach. In my research into this location, understandably, most of the information I found focuses on the Blue Lagoon itself. But the actual quarry is bigger than I expected and more dramatic than I expected. I've just seen some creature over there, gone in amongst those rocks. This quarry is a limestone quarry. Limestone was extracted, taken to lime kilns to make quicklime, which was used for many different things. All of the flooded limestone quarries are dangerous. This one is more dangerous than most, not just due to the natural pollution caused by the limestone extraction, but due to other reasons as well, which I will talk about later on. Wow, I'm lost for words. I've seen pictures, but this is unlike anything I was expecting. The colour of the water is far more turquoise than anything else I've seen in limestone quarries. It's really, really incredible colour. And you can see why on a nice, hot, sunny day, people would be tempted to go for a swim in here. Sometimes the council dyes the water black to try and discourage people from doing that. Once again, I've got the Kodak Charmera with me. I'll take some photos. I had actually forgotten I had this with me and just remembered. So yeah, my challenge is to take some photos with this. In case you missed last week's video or the previous video, this is a keychain camera. It's tiny. It's very fashionable right now, very trendy. It takes very low resolution images. There's no auto settings or autofocus or anything like that. There's no manual settings either. It's a point and click and hope for the best. And you get a low resolution image. But I'll do my best to take some good shots with this, and just like last time, I'll put them at the end of the video. So hang around to see those. So I knew that this quarry was here, but there was a whole side to this story, the story of this quarry, that I had no idea about, and that's to do with the RAF base and some of the top secret things that happened in this area. This area is full of tunnels. And those tunnels were used for munitions storage. But it's worse than that. This area was used for the disposal of chemical weapons during the Second World War. Chemical weapons, both British chemical weapons and captured German chemical weapons, were brought to this area and disposed of. And an attempt to dispose of them was to try and burn them, and that was only partially successful, and the resultant pollution from the burning of the chemical weapons has caused this toxic, bleak landscape where nothing can grow. Some of these storage facilities, munitions facilities, were closed in the 1960s. A lot of the tunnels are still around, although we only know the exact location of a few of them. At least one of them was repurposed and used for growing mushrooms for a while. It was a mushroom farm for a while, and has now changed hands again. We might be able to get a look at that later on. This does not appear to go anywhere, and I'm definitely not going to go in there. So it's really just a case of having a good look around. It's difficult to plot a route because, as I mentioned before, a lot of the key features are not marked on the maps, and I don't know exactly where they are or whether I can get to them. So it is really a case of just having a good look around. There are places I've already walked past which I want to go back to. And I can see something just up ahead which I want to check out if I can get to it. Over there in the distance you can just make out Solomon's Temple. I suspect where I am right now may have been one of the smaller tunnels, because a lot of the tunnels weren't proper tunnels as such. Instead they would dig ditches and then cover over the tops. And you can see this has all sunken. It's all sunk. The ground has sunk. It's all collapsing in it on itself. And this bit over here is full of water, but this is not a natural shape. The lines, the edges are way too straight for it to be a natural pool of water. So this could well be one of the smaller tunnels that has collapsed. You can see stonework over there on the walls. I'm just guessing, but that's what it looks like to me. There was definitely something there that's collapsed. This is not a natural pool of water, it's man-made. Got a sluice gate here by the looks of it. So maybe this tunnel was more to do with a reservoir than munitions storage. I don't know. You have to guess. You have to kind of piece it all together and guess as best as you can, because for obvious reasons there is no official information, or very little official information about this. The RAF base had its own defences. That's possibly a bit of rails. This is now owned by GXO, but it used to be all part of the RAF facility, and there are defences all around. This wind is so cold. Quite so much shelter as I was hoping for. You can see this here is a man-made structure, possibly a small building, but there's no way to know whether this is from the quarrying days or from the RAF days. And another one right here. I think this is possibly from the quarrying days rather than the RAF days, because most of the RAF ruins do still seem to be here, or buildings still seem to be here and in a better condition than this. But I'm just guessing with everything. I'm just guessing. I can see something over there. I don't know if it's accessible. It looks like it might be. So this doesn't go that far. It goes further than the other one did. I'm guessing it's more quarry related than RAF related. I can relatively easy get in there, but there's a few boulders that I would have to negotiate, and I don't think it's worth the effort or the risk of spraining my ankle. Okay, so this is GXO, and I'm not sure whether I'm supposed to be here, but as you can see, lots of trail bikes, lots of motorbikes come along here. I can see people just up there, and I've not passed any signs or any fences stopping me. So all the motorcyclists have just come over here as well. I mean, you can see the fence posts, but there is no fence any longer. So there's nothing stopping you other than the drop. There's nothing stopping you coming over. I think all the motorcyclists have now come over here. So strength in numbers. So this is the toilet block. So here you go. If you subscribe to my YouTube channel, you get to see all kinds of beautiful sights. I have no idea what the purpose of this was. Once again, it's full of spiders and flies. I wonder what all these little bits are for. So we've got buildings over there that do look like they date back to the RAF days. It's really not clear whether you should be on that land though, and there are cameras everywhere. Right, well that is now GXO land, and you can't see, but that actually leads to the tunnel entrance. So that tunnel now belongs to GXO. This is the tunnel, I think, that was a mushroom farm initially after the RAF finished with it, and then it was sold on to, well, currently owned by GXO. This is an interesting bit of Derbyshire that I haven't previously walked and wouldn't normally do this kind of walking. It's more the kind of thing that you would get from an industrial estate auditor like DJ Audits or something. Anyway, we're going this way apparently. No one's made any effort to remove this from a public footpath, and the irony is the land ahead is owned by the Health and Safety Executive. Well, literally, start on your own doorstep, guys. So the area that I'm coming into now is owned by the government. Currently it comes under the Health and Safety Executive, but it's gone under various different departments over the years, and it's a testing facility. They do all kinds of testing, including explosives, as you can see from the sign. but some of it's quite secret as well, and there's a lot of CCTV surveillance, but the public footpath goes literally right the way through. So some of this land where I am now used to be part of the RAF. Although the government testing facility has been here for a long time, it expanded when the RAF left and took over a lot of their land. So where I am used to be part of the RAF facility. And I'm just directly above where I was before. That's GXO over there. That's the quarry where I just was. So this big building complex over here, I believe this is the main buildings for the government complex, the government facilities. And this is one of the sites where they carry out outdoors explosions. Looks like an underground facility there. In fact, all of these buildings look at least partially underground. So could this have been one of the original RAF tunnels? I'm guessing it probably is, because it matches the description, which was that it wasn't a proper tunnel as such. They just dug down into the ground, built the building, and then covered the top over. Smells very musty in here. I mean, who knows exactly what kind of testing goes on here. That looks like it's foam. Fire extinguisher foam, maybe. There's a nice selection of millstones over there. Got an open tunnel entrance by the looks of it there, or it might be a closed door that's just very dark in colour. This big mound in front of us is known as High Edge. I've never walked up there before, and I think, although again they're not marked on the map, but I think there's some old Second World War defences up there. There's also a very old burial cairn up there. That there in front is something, I don't know what, but it's clearly man-made. change of plan. It's lunchtime, I'm quite hungry. There's not going to be much shelter from the wind up there, so I'm going to quickly go in here now, go and have a look at whatever that is, hopefully get a bit of shelter from the wind and have my lunch. Okay, so it looks like something was here but isn't here now. Hopefully I can get some shelter out the wind. Right, well, I've just had my sandwiches here in whatever this used to be. Gonna head up over here now and see what I can see. I suspect there are some old World War II RAF defences or defences for the RAF base, but I'm not sure. We're going to get some amazing views from up there anyway, I'm guessing. I'm not sure what's going on with the weather. These clouds aren't looking great. So I'm anticipating just going up, having a look around, and then coming back, this way. This walk isn't very, I mean, the walking distance isn't very far, but I spent a long time in the quarry. I do need to pick things up a little bit, but I planned this route a few days ago, and I don't know this area at all, so I was kind of planning it just looking at the map, and the map really doesn't tell you very much about this area, so I didn't know what it was going to be like, and it's nothing like I envisaged when I was plotting the route. So as a result, it doesn't feel like I plotted this route. I'm looking at the route, looking at the map and saying, oh, I'm going this way now, I didn't know that. It's like someone else made the route for me. That's where I just had my lunch, and you can see that there are a number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, at least 6 of those weird structures, whatever they are, or used to be. Wow, this wind is unbelievable. You can barely stand up. As you can see, this has been partially filled in with rubble. It's a very narrow space. This whole concrete building is shaking in that wind. Walk all the way around. This is pretty cool. Pretty cool. Okay, well, I'll talk to the camera now while I can, because I'm not going to be able to talk to the camera while I'm out there. I do have my external mic with me, but I don't think that's going to make much difference, and I'm not going to bother with it. It's too cold to fiddle around with that. So the plan is, unfortunately, come out of the relative shelter I've got right now, back into the wind, get over to the other World War II defences, check that out, and then come back the way I came. I'm in the shelter of this rock outcrop. It's incredibly windy. So that's where I just was. I've just come up where that person just came up. I don't know quite how you get up to here. Let's have a look. Going to be up in the wind though. So you can see the dragon's back. Park House and Chrome Hills. So I'm guessing this is going to be identical in layout to the other one. Maybe you can hear me now. Yeah, I think this is going to be identical inside to the other one. But the difference with this one is the entrance is very close to a very big drop. And it's all come away below the concrete where you climb in. Plus with that wind, I'm keeping away from it, I think. There you go, there's a look inside. So I'm here in the shelter again of this rock outcrop. I'm going to go back the same way I came up, and then take the stile where I had my lunch. And there's something over there. I don't know if I can get to that, but I'll have a look and see what that is. So this is another one. This is the inside of another one of those strange shapes. And I can't work out whether this was the base of something or whether this is the roof of something and there's something below me. Sides of this one are built up a lot more. If anyone has any idea what these are, please let me know. Possible munition stores. It's possible that they would have been covered over and that's where they would have stored munitions, but I've no idea, I'm just guessing. Aerials is broken off. Hardly surprising in this wind. Well, the map does mark a reservoir here. So it's possible that this is something to do with a reservoir, but it's more likely some kind of nuclear bunker. It reminds me of those nuclear bunkers. I can't remember the official term for them, but I'll put it on screen. I don't know, I can't make up my mind. Maybe it is reservoir related, the nuclear bunker. Yeah, I've changed my mind. I don't think it is a nuclear bunker, unfortunately. I think it's probably connected to an underground reservoir. There's something going on here, but this looks more like mining than anything else. Got a dew pond just here. This is a concrete one, so it's not that old. Ahead of me is Harper Hill. Predominantly new build houses. I wonder how many people living there know about the RAF base and the tunnels and the munitions that were stored there, the chemical weapons which were partly disposed of, partly successfully, partly unsuccessfully disposed of in this area. So as you can tell, I'm making my way back to the quarry area now, but there's still some exploring to do. There's still something from which I passed by this morning to go back and check out, and that's quite a significant thing to go and have a look at. According to the map, this is also a disused reservoir. I think we need to be suspicious of what the map says for this area. I'm now walking along a disused railway which led into the quarry. Possibly where the carts would have been loaded up. Right, well, the Blue Lagoon is just over there. Just over there. This is still the old railway track. And there's one final major thing that I want to check out. So this is the thing that I wanted to come back and check out. Just to give you some kind of idea where we are. Just above there, literally going over the top of it, is the old railway line. The other side, but more over to that way, is the old quarry. And the Blue Lagoon is kind of over that way. So it's not entirely clear what this tunnel was for. There are other YouTube videos where people go in here. Trekking Exploration recently posted one. So as you can see, the tunnel isn't straight, it bends a few times. something very interesting happens at this point, because the bricks end, and we've got a section of bedrock, and then the bricks resume over here. This is the second alcove like this. Both on the same side of the tunnel. So here it's kind of half filled, very strange. And this, well, I don't know whether it is the end, but it's the end now. We're not getting any further than this. So Trekking Exploration, that YouTube channel, he recently came here, and I think he said something about, oh, look at that crack. Look at that crack. Oh, it goes all the way around. Yeah, I think he had a comment or something to say that this was something to do with drainage for the Blue Lagoon, but I'm not convinced by that. I think the Blue Lagoon is, relatively recent, I would have guessed, where the quarry or part of the quarry is just flooded. Whereas this is fairly old. And why would they have built a tunnel as big as this? So I was wrong earlier when I said that was the second alcove. The first one's not an alcove, it's like a side entrance, a small side entrance. Well, now it's just a matter of retracing my steps back to the car. I hope you enjoyed that one. That was a very different kind of walk to what I normally do, but it was really interesting, lots of great stuff. Well, I didn't know half of this was here until a few days ago when I was researching. The only thing I knew about was the Blue Lagoon. I knew nothing about the RAF base, I knew nothing about the tunnels, I knew nothing about the munitions storage, I knew nothing about the chemical weapons disposal or partial disposal and the contamination of the land. I didn't know about what is now the Health and Safety Executive and all the testing that they do on the land. And also, all those old defences as well.